What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something absolutely insane. You see this grocery store? By next year, some of the things on these shelves will be gone. Forever. It sounds crazy, but it's true. I'm talking about everyday items you probably have in your kitchen right now. We've spent weeks talking to experts and digging through reports to find out what's really going on, and the answers are shocking. This isn't clickbait, this is a real-life countdown. So in this video, I'm going to reveal the top 10 grocery items that are predicted to completely disappear from stores before September 2025. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because you don't want to miss what we have coming up. Let's get this started. Alright, coming in at number 10 is something you've probably made a sandwich with 1,000 times: canned tuna. It seems impossible, right? These cans are everywhere. For decades, they've been the go-to for a quick, cheap, and easy meal. But behind this simple can is a massive, global operation that is starting to completely fall apart. The biggest problem is something you've probably heard about but maybe didn't connect to your lunch overfishing. For years, massive fishing fleets have been pulling tuna out of the ocean faster than they can possibly reproduce. Think about it like a bank account. If you keep taking out more money than you put in, eventually, you're going to have zero. That's exactly what's happening in our oceans with species like bluefin and yellowfin tuna. The populations are crashing and they're crashing hard. On top of the overfishing crisis, the entire supply chain is a mess. Getting the tuna from the ocean, to the processing plant, to the can, and then onto a truck and across the world to your local store is an incredibly complex journey. Okay, for number 9, we're talking about the king of condiments, the rooster sauce, the one and only sriracha. If you love spicy food, this one is going to hurt. For years, this iconic red bottle with the green cap has been a staple in restaurants and homes everywhere. People put it on literally everything. But recently, you might have noticed it's been getting harder and harder to find. That's not a coincidence. The company behind sriracha is in the middle of a massive crisis. The entire problem boils down to one single ingredient, a specific type of red jalapeno pepper. Huy Fong Foods, the company that makes sriracha, gets these peppers from just a few farms in Mexico. The regions where these peppers grow have been hit by a historic multi-year drought. Climate change is fueling extreme weather, and this drought is one of the worst on record. There's simply not enough water to grow the peppers. They sent out letters to distributors announcing a total halt in production because they have a severe shortage of the raw materials. It's not a marketing gimmick, it's a legitimate agricultural disaster. Coming in at number 8 is an item that's probably in your freezer right now: frozen peas. They're a classic, right? You add them to pasta, casseroles, or just have them as a simple side dish. They seem so common and basic that it's hard to imagine them ever disappearing. But the reality is, the global supply of frozen peas is in serious trouble, and again, the main culprit is our changing climate. Peas are surprisingly delicate plants. They need very specific weather conditions to thrive, cool temperatures and just the right amount of rain. Major pea-growing regions like parts of the UK, Europe, and North America have been experiencing record-breaking heat waves and unpredictable rainfall patterns. One month it's a flood, the next it's a scorching drought. These extreme weather swings are devastating the pea harvests. Farmers who have been growing peas for generations are seeing their yields plummet. The heat literally cooks the peas in their pods, making them unusable for freezing. The companies that produce frozen peas, like Birdseye, have issued public warnings about the shortages. As a result, you're going to see two things happen. First, the price of frozen peas is going to go way up as the supply dwindles. And second, you're going to see more and more empty spaces in the freezer aisle where those familiar green bags used to be. Get ready, because number 7 is a breakfast icon: orange juice. That glass of sunshine you have in the morning is facing an existential threat. And honestly, this isn't about a bad harvest season. This is about a plague that is systematically wiping out orange groves across the globe. The orange juice industry is in a state of emergency, and it's been happening right under our noses for years. The enemy has a name: citrus greening disease. It's a bacterial disease spread by a tiny insect called the Asian citrus psyllid. When this bug feeds on an orange tree, it infects it with the bacteria. The disease attacks the tree's vascular system, essentially choking it from the inside out. It prevents nutrients from reaching the fruit, causing the oranges to be small, misshapen, bitter, and eventually, the tree just dies. There is no cure. This disease has absolutely decimated Florida's orange industry, which was once the powerhouse of orange juice production for the United States. Decades ago, Florida was producing hundreds of millions of boxes of oranges. Now, they're producing a tiny fraction of that. The problem has spread to other major citrus-growing regions too, like Brazil and parts of California. It's a global pandemic for orange trees. Number 6 on our list of disappearing groceries is a favorite for anyone who is dairy-free almond milk. Over the past decade, almond milk exploded in popularity, becoming the go-to milk alternative for millions. It's in coffee shops, grocery stores, and refrigerators everywhere. But the very thing that made it so popular, the almond, is now the source of its potential downfall. The problem is water, or more specifically, a massive lack of it. The overwhelming majority of the world's almonds, we're talking over 80%, are grown in one place, California's Central Valley. This region has a perfect climate for growing almonds, but it's also naturally very dry. Almond farming is incredibly water-intensive. It takes about 1.1 gallons of water to grow a single almond. Now multiply that by the billions and billions of almonds needed to produce enough milk for the entire world. California has been in a state of near-constant severe drought for years, fueled by climate change. The snowpack in the mountains, which normally melts and feeds the state's reservoirs and rivers, is at historic lows. There is simply not enough water to go around. Alright, this next one is a big one. At number 5 we have one of the most fundamental foods in human history, wheat bread. It's the foundation of sandwiches, toast, and so much more. The idea that a simple loaf of bread could become a scarce item seems unbelievable, but the global wheat supply is under intense pressure from multiple directions. The first major issue is conflict. Regions like Ukraine, often called the breadbasket of Europe, are among the world's largest exporters of wheat. The ongoing war has massively disrupted farming and shipping in the region. Ports have been blocked, fields have been mined or destroyed, and farmers have been unable to plant or harvest their crops. This has taken a colossal amount of wheat out of the global supply chain, creating a huge hole that other countries are struggling to fill. On top of the conflict, we're seeing the now familiar story of extreme weather. Major wheat-producing countries like the United States, Canada, Australia, and India have all been hit with severe droughts, floods, and heat waves. These two factors, war and weather, have created a perfect storm for a global wheat shortage. When the supply of a core commodity like wheat goes down, the price goes way, way up. Coming in at number 4 is something for all the foodies out there, imported cheese. I'm talking about the good stuff. The authentic Parmesan from Italy, the sharp cheddar from England, the creamy brie from France. These delicious cheeses are a little taste of luxury. But getting them from their European dairies to your cheese board is becoming an incredibly difficult and expensive process. A huge part of the problem is a tangled web of new trade restrictions and tariffs. After events like Brexit and other shifts in global trade policies, moving goods between countries has become way more complicated. There's more paperwork, more inspections, and more taxes. A shipment that used to move smoothly can now get held up at the border for weeks. Cheese is a perishable product. It can't just sit in a warm shipping container for an extra month. On top of the logistics, cheese producers in Europe are facing their own set of problems. The cost of energy to run their dairies has skyrocketed. Many of these cheeses are made by small family-run producers who have been using the same traditional methods for centuries. They don't have the massive scale to easily absorb all these new costs. This next one, number 3, is going to affect a lot of people trying to eat healthy. We're talking about packaged salad greens. Those convenient bags of pre-washed lettuce, spinach, and arugula have become a modern grocery store staple. They make it super easy to throw together a quick and healthy meal, but the very regions that grow most of these greens are facing a historic water crisis. A huge percentage of America's leafy greens, especially during the winter months, are grown in desert valleys in California and Arizona. Think about that for a second. We're growing one of the thirstiest crops in the middle of a desert. This is only possible because of massive irrigation systems that draw water from rivers like the Colorado River. But that river is drying up at an unprecedented rate due to decades of overuse and climate change-fueled drought. The federal government has been forced to declare water shortages and implement drastic cuts to the amount of water farmers are allowed to use. Leafy greens like lettuce are over 90% water. You cannot grow them without a massive, steady supply. Farmers are being forced to fallow their fields, meaning they just don't plant anything, because they don't have the water to grow a crop. Alright, we're down to number 2, and this one is going to be controversial. The item predicted to disappear is bottled water. I know what you're thinking. How can bottled water disappear? It's everywhere. But the disappearance of this product won't be because of a shortage of water itself, but because of a massive global backlash against the bottle it comes in. The world is finally starting to get serious about the plastic pollution crisis. Single-use plastics like water bottles are a huge part of the problem. They clog our oceans, harm wildlife, and break down into microplastics that end up in our food and even in our bodies. In response, governments all around the world are starting to implement strict new environmental regulations and outright bans on single-use plastics. National parks, college campuses, and entire cities have banned the sale of single-use plastic water bottles. The pressure isn't just coming from governments, it's also coming from consumers. More and more people are becoming aware of the environmental impact of their choices and are actively choosing to use reusable water bottles. The combination of government bans, corporate pressure, and changing consumer habits is creating a tidal wave that will likely wash single-use bottled water off most store shelves for good within the next couple of years. And here it is, the #1 grocery item that is expected to disappear before September 2025. This is something that millions of kids and adults start their day with. It's an icon of the breakfast aisle. The #1 item is breakfast cereals. I'm not kidding. The classic boxes of Flakes, Loops, and Puffs are facing a combination of threats that could make them a thing of the past. First, let's talk about the ingredients. Many cereals have a base of corn, wheat, oats, or rice. As we've already discussed, the global supplies of these grains are being hammered by climate change, war, and supply chain issues. Then you have the other things like sugar, the prices of which are also soaring due to poor harvests in major producing countries like India and Thailand. But the ingredient shortage is only half the story. The other massive problem for cereal companies is or more specifically, how our eating habits are changing. For decades, a bowl of cereal was the default American breakfast. But that's not true anymore. People are busier than ever, and are opting for more convenient, on-the-go options like protein bars, yogurt, or breakfast sandwiches. Cereal requires a bowl, milk, a spoon, and time to sit down, a luxury many people don't have on a weekday morning. On top of that, there's been a huge health movement away from sugary, processed foods. Many traditional breakfast cereals are loaded with sugar and refined carbohydrates. Health-conscious consumers are reading the labels and choosing options that are higher in protein and lower in sugar. So you have a double whammy. The cost to make the product is going up dramatically, while the demand for the product is steadily going down. That is a recipe for extinction in the business world. Companies like Kellogg's and General Mills are seeing the writing on the wall. They're investing heavily in snacks and other food categories. While cereal won't vanish overnight, we're going to see a massive reduction in the number of brands and varieties on the shelf until only a few niche or healthier options remain. The golden age of the cereal aisle is over, and that's a wrap. 10 items you see every day that could be gone from stores sooner than any of us think. It's actually pretty crazy to see how global issues like climate change, supply chain problems, and even wars can have a direct impact on the food that ends up in our kitchens. From your morning orange juice to your kid's favorite cereal, nothing is guaranteed. This isn't about fear-mongering, it's about being aware of the massive, interconnected system that feeds us all, and how fragile it can be. So, next time you're at the grocery store, take a look around, and maybe check your pantry. If any of your absolute favorite foods were on this list, you might want to stock up a little bit while you still can. I want to know what you guys think. Go down to the comments right now, and let me know which of these 10 items you would miss the most if it disappeared forever. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because we have some even crazier videos coming soon that you will not want to miss. We'll see you in the next one.